I'm not sure if you've heard of the centrist regrouping that has happened after the 2024 absolute spanking that they received, or the Kamala Harris, campaign received. And of course, in the wake of the...
Hang on. Are you going to say the word abundance? Because I'm going to punch you right in the face.
Well, I'm going to say it, but not abundantly.
Yeah.
But the abundance agenda is one of the tracks, right, of the centrist regrouping. Obviously, that's the Ezra Klein, Derek Thompson. We don't need regulations. That was actually the problem, not capitalism. There's the Alyssa Slotkin, the senator who's spoke at what is called the Welcome Fest or Welcome Pack. These are the guys, NATO, that a couple weeks ago got together and we're like, we need what the progressives have, like that energy and excitement, but without their policies. How can we do that? And they were like, oh, okay, you just want to wear the skin of, like democratic socialists and discard what people like about them. And then now, of course, we've had this massive victory of Zohran Mamdani, to which centrist Democrats have been like, I don't know, he's probably an anti-Semite. And, like Gillibrand and reluctantly Hakeem Jeffries and Senator Schumer congratulated him. Now we have something new, NATO, and it's called Project 2029. And of course, because Democrats have no original thought, it is a take on Project 2025. And yes, it is backed by a bunch of centrists, including Neera Tanden, famous for punching left and trying to destroy the Bernie campaign in 2016. As she worked on the Hillary campaign. Jake Sullivan, famous for being the national security advisor under Biden, i.e. the green lighter of all of the Israeli war crimes, never serious about coming to the table when it came to putting any stoppages or reins on Bibi for, the massacre. And then a woman whose name is Anne Marie Slaughter, which just feels fitting as it follows Jake Sullivan. I don't know who she is. She's chief executive of New America. Others, blah, blah, blah. Oh, a founder of the group Third Way. And they're going to do a lot of ideating, NATO, over the next little bit and find like, what's like the special sauce? Where do we go wrong? How do we, what's the way forward? Because we need a message. And it's just the lack of a message in this narrative. And we're really not sure where to find it. Unrelated, let me show you the third round ranked choice voting tabulation of Democratic Socialist mayoral Democratic nominee for New York City, Zohran Mamdani. We're looking at, it's really, really small, 56% after the third round to Cuomo's 44%. He won, I think it's something like 112,000 more votes. Remembering that Eric Adams won New York City's mayoral primary by 7,200 votes. At that point, the Democratic Party was like, Eric Adams is the future. Zohran Mamdani wins, and they're like, do you condemn the global intifada? So this is what I'm bitching about, NATO, is that at a time of like actual fascism, denaturalization, straight up Nazi playbook stuff, snatching people off the streets, Democrats are coming together and going like, what's our message? What are we like for or whatever? I don't know. They're all just trying to keep their consultant jobs. And yes, I do think abundance and or Pete Buttigieg will probably rise to the top of this pile of dog.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think, it's one of my forever frustrations of politics that like people continued how much people find careers, including on the left, by the way, in continuing to trot out an analysis of everything that happens that is just some new thing happened that confirmed what I would have said anyway before.
Yes.
Like there's no like, oh, maybe I was wrong. Maybe I learned something from my experience. Maybe I
yes.
There's no revision or growth.
It's super all just sus no matter what side of the spectrum you're on.
The thing about these third way people is like, even after 2020, when Biden won, they were like, the Democratic Party has gone too far to the left. So, you know what I mean?
Yes.
This success that we're having clearly is something's wrong with it. So um, so here's my question for you: is do you, and I've been debating this with some of my friends, do you think that the problem here is that they're like fundamentally trapped by what is required to win voters
Hmm.
and the expectations of their donors, or do you think that it's like how much do you think that the obstacle is just a like the big money in politics and the access, how close they are to the ruling class, and how much of it is like the sort of ideology and political orientation of this class of people that sort of operates somewhat independently of the donor class?
Well, I
What do
mean,
you
I
think?
think
What's the
it's
answer?
very no. I think the it's both. It's why not both? Because supporting the very policies of a Zohran Mamdani and isolating APAC or isolating, real estate money, isolating the reason that and how they get their consultant fee and why and how and the corporations that back that Welcome Fest thing that happened a few months ago, like it's one in the same. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. They could never actually take real income redistribution. And by that, all we mean is taxing the wealthy, to the tune of what they were taxed in the 50s and, in terms of when America was great or whatever. Like that, I think it's one and the same. It's kind of the same thing where you're like, is it true believers in the Bush administration who like really want to go and, colonize the Middle East because they're like, Christian Zionists, or do they just want the oil money? And it's like both, I think that they're never going to argue for their own irrelevance.
Yeah.
Right.
By the way, have you on the podcast, have you taken credit for like our pivotal interview with Zohran Mamdani in February that really was it sealed the deal on the all the ranked choice voting?
Well, I saw you take credit for it on social media. And so I immediately glommed on and said,
Yeah.
yes, NATO's right. And I think it goes to show, I mean, look, when Zoran came on, remember, like I was feeling like this is a long shot. This is a
Yeah.
really big long shot, but it's awesome that he's on this show. And it's awesome that he was making these, alternative media rounds and leftist small podcast media rounds. And that just goes to show he actually excited people. And he is like, when has this person disappointed? In each clip over the weekend, all he's been doing is going on, mainstream news outlets, basically saying like, but do you like capitalism, right? And he's like, oh, no. And he's just very open about how much he thinks capitalism has failed us, how much he wants to work for the working class, and how much he's not going to throw anybody, including people who argue for Palestinian human rights, under the bus. And it's just like, how about believing in fucking anything? That's the thing is I'm like, I'm waiting for a centrist Democrat to be like, hey, you know what? I believe in money. And number one for me is just getting all of the money. And I think we need to get money. That I feel like that's why people vote for MAGA, because they're like, I kind of respect that because you're being honest. But instead of like, no, I believe in money and Ukrainian human rights. And you're like, shut the fuck up.
Right. I mean, that was, I think, I think that there is something sort of intangible where, like, I think some people on the left believe that, like having a redistributive policy and having more progressive policy positions are what's necessary to, I mean, certainly they're the right policy solutions to fix our system. And it's what's necessary to like energize the voters to be able to turn
It's
out the
one
way
and the
that they did.
same.
But I actually don't think the policy is enough. Like, I think that there's some fusion of the message and the messenger, and having like a messenger who is an authentic person and seems to have their own principles and has those policy
Yeah.
positions because they've arrived at them in an honest way. And whereas like like exactly what you're saying, the Trump is the worst person of all time, but he is an authentic person.
Yep. Yeah.
He is the purest version of himself. And like I think a lot of the problems of the third way politicians is that they're just like, you know, and, and we saw this with Harris, like she just didn't seem to believe in anything
Yep.
and was like trying to figure out how to like guess the right answer that would offend the least amount of people.
Yes.
And it never, like, it's not. So I think it's more than policy. It's also like, that you have these people like like Zohran and like AOC, who are sort of like almost, generational level, singular communicators.
Yes,
And
100% to generational level, singular communicators, and also hammering on the same message over and over again. And I think Bernie proved, what's so funny about Bernie is like the anomaly that he is of like, but he's like actually allergic to, he might be, a Democratic or like a social Democrat, but he's not social. He's like, he's an anti-social man who does not like people and does not like, and yet his message and hammering the exact same points over and over and over again for a decade have really bled through. And it's the reason that a lot of people, liked Bernie in the first place. But again, these are, these centrists are skilled at doing one thing, and that is punching left and crushing progressives. We will see about Zohran, but you're welcome for the W from the Bitchuation Room and NATO and Francesca.
Yeah. And all we ask is for the sex tape with you and your wife. That's all we want in return. I think I'm safe to say that both Francesca and I would leave our spouses in 2 seconds to throuple up with Zohran and Mrs. Zohran. We will raise your children. We will pumice your heels.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Woo! It's so true. She is such a baddie. Damn.
What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/Bitchuation Room. Do it.